In this video, we're going to be using Tim Soap's Old School Lime and the Leaf for a dome shave. Stay tuned. Hey there folks, and welcome back to another video. I'm your host CDB. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And as mentioned before, today we're going to be using now unobtainium. This is Tim Soap's Old School Lime from about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. No longer made. Beautiful lime scent. Just straight lime. It is crisp still after, 4 or 5 years since it's, I think it's been since Tim's made us up. Really, really nice soap. We look forward to using that today. And we're going to use the Leaf for a dome shave. And I do not have a blade loaded in here right now because what I wanted to show you, and I do this from time to time because I realize there are people who are new to the Leaf. If you have a full double-edged razor blade, it's very easy to snap these in half. Just leave it in the package like so and just bend. Boom. You're ready to go with the Leaf. And I use 2 blades with the Leaf. You can use 3, but I've sort of gone to 2 as my standard because I think it provides everything that I need for a good head shave. And you loosen up the little dowel there on the Leaf. And what I do is I put a blade in the bottom spot right here, which is supposed to be the most efficient setting on the Leaf. And then I will put one of the doors down and I will lay another blade in the second position. I leave the third position open, and so I'll have a blade in the bottom 2. The top one is the least efficient, middle one next efficient, and the third being the bottom most efficient. So we have our configuration there, and I'm using the rubber sleeve for the Leaf with that, which I think helps a lot. By the way, today I did lather the soap up and I hit it with the chill meal because we want to get some menthol cooling. And I also topped it off with a couple of Stirling's frost drops. So I'm hoping I'll feel a little cooling on the dome. My head doesn't cool the way my face does. We're gonna use the cube for pre-shave as well, just to get some of that going. I guess there are not as many receptors to the effect of menthol on the head as there is in the face because it's never quite as cold. You can feel it, but on the face it usually feels much colder. At least for me, it's what I think. I don't know if your experience is the same. If it is, let me know if you're a head shaver and you use menthol. It doesn't get quite as cold for me, so I put a little extra menthol in there today, and we're gonna work up the cube just a little bit there and get that slickness going. Not that it's needed because the Tim Soaps here is Old School Lime is a good soap, good quality. Hope you all are doing great today. I'm shooting this a couple of days ahead. And the head shaves I usually shoot ahead, so when this airs, probably several days have passed, but doesn't really matter. I'm going to wish you well all the same and hope you're having a great day, whether it be Tuesday or Wednesday whenever I air this. Today, by the way, is Sunday. So let's get to lathering with our West Coast shaving two-tone brush. I like to call this the dude of shaving brush because he doesn't like it because it's floppy. But as I always say, you can make a lather with any sort of brush. You see guys now making them with paintbrushes in a challenge. It doesn't really require backbone. Backbone is a preference thing, not a need. You can lather any soap with just about any sort of shaving brush, regardless of whether it has backbone or not. Backbone is often desired, but never needed, not mechanically, to make a lather, because this brush is very, very soft. That's one of the things I like about it, especially on my dome. It's gentle. It's not scrubbing, and I have no desire to scrub my face or my head with something very, very rough because I'm about to drag the rough steel across it. It's sharp, but still, that's enough trauma. I don't need to put any more trauma on my skin than necessary. And I've found over the years that using soft brushes is what my skin tends to like. The high backbone brushes just aren't for me. However, if you like them, that's no problem at all. And no menthol cooling yet, and we won't expect it this soon. Sort of takes a while for it to kick in, especially, like I said before, on my head, because it doesn't experience that same level of cooling. And here we go with our leaf razor. And sorry for making a mess, but that's going to happen. We shave the dome. Make sure it's tightened down on the back. I always pull down the ear and start getting around the ear first. Probably the most difficult place to get at. And for a lot of people, I think it's the most challenging. I've sort of nicked myself on my ears a number of times, just not being cognizant. Just clipped them by mistake. And my ears hang pretty close to my face. They're not really flared out. If they're flared out a bit, you might be able to get by with not pulling them down, but my recommendation is to pull them down, get them out of the way. There's no sense in having a terrible shave because you nicked your ear, or because one thing about it, when you nick your ear, they bleed and bleed and bleed. I know from experience. They just tend to continue bleeding, and they are not quick to stop. So just be careful with that. And with the leaf, it does require some care. Be mindful not to use too much pressure. I think one of the things that happens to people who are coming from carts is you can get away with using a little pressure with cartridge razors. And you may at some point need to use some pressure even with a razor like the leaf. But early on, I'm going to caution you, just take it easy. Don't use a lot of pressure. The blades, you know, you can pick whatever blade you want to shave with the leaf. A double-edged razor blade. But keep in mind, they're sharp and they need to be respected. Always respect the leaf. Because the leaf, generally speaking, I found treats me well when I respect it and I'm on my game in terms of head shaving. But if I'm not paying attention, if I get cavalier, it will also remind me to respect the leaf. Again, I want to caution folks, because I know a lot of guys, oh, it's just a cart because it pivots and it takes more than one blade. It doesn't have to, by the way. You could just use one blade if you want to, but it does pivot like a cart. It has the capability of taking multiple blades, but it is not a cart. And if you treat it like a cart, you will find out that it is not a cart. So just be mindful of what you're doing. Try to remain technically sound, making sure not to use too much pressure. And when the razor is oriented this way, don't make any movements this way. That's going to be cut regardless of what razor you use. But in a multi-blade scenario, if you're using 2 or 3 blades, of course it's going to be worse because you have more blades that are, going to reach out there and tell you did something wrong. Just my advice, just go easy and slow. Let the pivot do its work. Don't try to muscle this razor. This is not a razor that needs muscling. The blades will cut. You just have to let that pivot do its work. And if you do, you'll get a really nice shave, or at least I do. If you try to muscle it, it will not be a good shave. Again, this is cart-like in its ability to take multiple blades and the fact that it pivots. But do not grow complacent into treating it like a cart, because it is not. It does have things in common with cart, but ultimately it's not a cart. And a lot of people who call this a cart have never used it, and if they did, they would say, no, it's not a cart, at least on your head. On the face, I think it's a very easygoing razor. So if you're using this on your face, it's very, very easygoing. I never had any problems at all with it, but on the head, I have to be a little bit more careful. I'm getting just a little bit of cooling from the menthol so far. Again, the dome just doesn't get quite as cool for me as my face does. If I had this on my face, it would be quite cold right now, because I've put a good deal of menthol in this old school lime, and I think menthol goes very well with lime or almost any citrus scent. It sort of complements. You will get a little bit of that the menthol scent in your, you might smell the menthol a little bit, but to me, when it's combined with the citrus, it's very nice. And I enjoy it a lot. And I really enjoy using this brush because it does an excellent job of making and letting go of the lather without feeling rough on my face or head, as the case may be. A lot of people, their head is very sensitive. And so if you have a nice soft brush, it'll make the lather and apply it easily without a lot of excessive scrubbing. It lends itself to a nice shave. What some people don't realize is all that scrubbing sometimes is what leads to your irritation. It's not necessarily the blade. It can be the blade, but people overlook the fact that you can be experiencing brush and burn or something like that. So just try to remain mindful of that, and we'll get on with our second pass. Yeah, very nice. The soap smells great. Getting just a little bit of cooling, but given the amount of menthol I laid to this, it's really not a ton of cooling. And on this pass, we try to go up here on the sides, and this spot right here on my head is the toughest area to get. I don't know why it is, but it is. And a lot of people seem to have that same situation where it's the most difficult to get at. And I usually have to buff that area quite a bit to get it. And again, pulling down my ears here and remaining just careful. And buffing that spot right there. Those hairs are always my most difficult to get. That spot. I'm not sure why that is, it just is. Very nice. Soap smelling great. Slight bit of cooling, but I'm telling you right now, if this was on my face, I would be feeling some chill right now. But since it's not, let's go forward and just get that little piece so I don't run it down to my eyes. You definitely don't want the soap in your eyes. I think we've all had soap in our eyes at one time or another, and it's not pleasant. Very nice. Just gonna feel around here and sort of buff and get any of these spots, I should say, not spaces, that need a little additional attention. And right there, that spot is extremely challenging, and I normally have to buff and buff and buff. But again, staying mindful not to press too hard. Because if you dig in with the sharp blade like this, now these are the Astro blades, I don't know if I mentioned it. They are sharp. They're not the sharpest, but believe me, they're plenty sharp enough that if you're really digging in hard and you hit a bump or the skin wrinkles or something, it'll deliver a cut. So just remember, don't get complacent. Be mindful of your technique with the leaf, and when you do, it delivers a really nice shave. And I don't mean to overdo it in terms of asking you to be cautious, but I know we've got a lot of new shavers with the leaf, some new head shavers. I know Arthur out there is brand new with the leaf, and he had his first go with it, and he got a few nicks. And I can't tell you what it is that you're doing that might lead to a nick. But I can tell you care is the key, and just sort of making sure you're staying disciplined, keeping the razor moving in the right direction and never going this way with the razor. That is one of the things you cannot do. If you do that, it will be bad every time and all the time. So just stay mindful of keeping everything going in the right direction and keeping that ear out of the way and not using excessive pressure. Because again, this is not a cart, and it doesn't need the kind of pressure that a cart might require. And a lot of people are used to really zipping along with a cart razor. And this one, I think, takes a little bit of time to get used to. And to get to that sort of autopilot kind of feeling. You can get there. But I've learned just to be cautious with it at all times, treat it with respect. And when I do, like today, it'll deliver a phenomenal head shave. And since you're using these very inexpensive DE blades, this razor can pay for itself within you know, let's say a couple of years or less, depending on, you know, assuming you were buying cart razors. Just in the blades alone, this razor can pay for itself. Probably in a year or two, depending on how often you would go through the cart blades. But that was a very nice head shave, I got to tell you. Hitting the spot once again, the leaf. All right, let me rinse, then we'll come back into the post. Stay tuned. And all right, we are back and off cam. We did a warm water rinse, and then we did a cold water rinse. Then we followed up with our Thayer's Cucumber Magic, because it's made by witches. This was an excellent shave today with the Tim's Old School Lime. These soaps from 4, 5, 6 years ago are still good. They're not obsolete by any stretch of the imagination. They still work very well, as you saw today. The leaf was stellar, as always. Again, respect the leaf, be careful with it, and it will deliver some beautiful shaves for you, whether you're shaving your face, your legs, your head. It's my preferred head shaving razor. It does a great job for me, but it does require some respect, so be mindful of that. We used the West Coast Shaving two-tone brush, or the Dude of Shaving brush, as I like to call it. We put a little chill meal on our soap today, which is a menthol, along with some frost drops to get a little bit of that menthol cooling. And we're going to finish off today with lemon chill to keep that chill going. And I hope you folks, wherever you are having a great day and having some great shaves. Thank you so much for watching. Ah, that's nice. Nice lemon chill. Oh, man. Sorry, I'm caught up in the moment. Just enjoying this aftershave. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Till next time, I've been your host, CDB, reminding you, it's your shave, do it your way. And as always, God bless.